Hi, this is Joanne with Broadcast Sunny, and we are making fabric coasters, which make great gifts for pretty much anyone because everyone drinks something. Hi, this is Joanne with Broadcast Sunny, and we're making fabric coasters. It's 4x4-inch fabric coaster. What you need is a 4.5-inch by 4.5-inch square topping, then a 4.5-inch square backing, and then batting. So my backing is faux suede because I wanted something that if my cup is wet, it can absorb it and not leak through as much as regular cotton fabric would. I also picked a batting. This is a 4.5 by 4.5. A batting that is heat tolerant. It's a little bit more expensive. You probably don't need it, but I drink tea a lot and I figured I'm not going to risk it. Now this faux suede has backing fused to it, so really I don't need the batting, but I thought I'd show you how to do it with it anyway. So after you cut out the squares, and you can watch my video on how I cut these squares out to get the picture that I wanted on it, as well as using the circular cutter, the rotary cutter. But now we want to put it together. So you want the two front facing, the right sides facing together. These are the back sides. And then if you are using batting, put the batting on the back of the backing. Or you could put it on either one, but just make sure the layering, because that's why this has holes in it. I screwed it up. Two front facing, top of each other, and then the backing on the back. So what I'm going to go do now, I'm not going to show you because it's just sewing. Who wants to watch that? Is to not only sew three sides, I'm going to sew it here as well. And I will be right back with that. Okay, so here is your sewed up piece. I have a small opening here to inside it out, but before we do that, we're going to go to the corners because we want the corners to have a nice clean look, and chop off the edges. If you saw that video, you saw that that already had a piece taken out. Okay, now that that's out and all the long thread pieces are gone, I'm going to right side this out through the small opening that we kept. Now I do a particularly small hole, and the reason I do that is because I want the closed up seam to be as small as possible. So this is going to take a bit. So you want to, as you get it out, you're going to push in the corners, because the corners usually are the way of flattening it out more. And there is the square with the opening. We'll close that up in a minute. I usually like to close it up after I quilted it. So if there's any pockets that need airing out, it can go. So I am debating whether to just follow the path of the flower, or if I do simple circle, a swirl, or squares. I think I'm going to go with the square, and the reason is I do not have a fancy quilting machine which can follow this line easily. So the first thing you want to do is iron this out to get it as flat as possible, and then use your sewing machine to, I am going to start in the inner, because if you start in the outer and then go in, it clumps up. So start with the inner and go out. and that way it can flatten out more. And I will be right back with that. So this is what they look like after I ironed them. This was the one with the batting inside. In retrospect, I do like that. I like the batting better, and if I make any more of these, that's how I'll do it. So this looks too thin. This has just the batting that came with the cloth. Okay, so now I'm gonna go quilt it, machine quilt it. So this is nice and flat and what it looks like when it's ironed. What I want to do now is make markings of where I'm going to quilt it, because I'm going to quilt squares in it, and that's specific sizes for that. So about an inch off, I'm guesstimating about where. I'm using my quilters, my water eraser. I made a faint line, although this comes out really easily. I put it on the 3-inch mark to give me an idea of where I want it. Again, line it up. This one fits on here very well. Here, and then a small one in the center, which I'm gonna eyeball it. Okay, so those are my marks, and that's where I am going to quilt. All right, I finished quilting the 3 squares, so it's nice and flat now. I'm going to close up my edge. I decided to use a whip stitch. I'm sure if you wanted to use a sewing machine and just sewn along the edge, that will be fine too, but I felt that this would give me the stitch that you would least see, but who knows, my hands are wet, are not as, shouldn't say not as good, but are a bit rusty. I haven't hand sewn in a while. I'm gonna clip this off so it's in my way. So let me whip stitch that and get back to you. Okay, so I finished whip stitching, getting rid of this excess thread. And I wanted to show you, this is the water soluble, this is a bit damp, and show you how this comes up. See, it's going away, the blue lines. Bring it up close so you can see the blue lines, particularly in the center. I'll get that first so you can see how it comes right out. And that's just with this loosely damp sponge. This thing is barely wet. And I think I got it all. And when if I throw it in the wash, it'll all come out. Although I must say that I find this pen, it works great. It just goes away after a few days. In my experience, I'm sure it depends on the brand you buy and such. But that is your fabric coaster. Makes a great gift, especially for mom, for tea time, if you get a whole set of them. And if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe. By sharing and subscribing, you're helping to support this channel. Thanks. So here are the two of them. This one I didn't do in the center because I just like the image. I thought I would ruin it.